And there we go. I will just say hi to everyone just in case my computer is slow, even though it's showing me that we're live. And so here we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Facebook Live series. We're very excited to have you here on our Good Deeds Day Facebook Live. It's been a while, well, about a month, and we're glad to be back with you. On our series, we try to talk to leaders from all over the world as we create an opportunity for them to share interesting and valuable information for you that will help further your work in doing good around the world. My name is Tova Gar, and I oversee the global partnerships and sponsorships here at Good Deeds Day. And today I am honored to have with me Abigail Gelfand, our in-house digital media and marketing specialist here at the Ted Arison Family Foundation. I can tell you that she's brilliant from personal experience, so I'm really excited for her to share with you today. Hi, Abigail.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. I feel at home, even before I feel at home.
Which is the best way to feel. And I'm super excited for everybody listening today for the extremely valuable information that you're going to get. But before we get started, as always, I would like to remind you, we love hearing who's on live with us, where you're from. Share with us who you are, what you want to know, and just hang out with us. We enjoy it. So let me tell you a little bit about Abigail before we get started with our content today. So Abigail has a master's degree in communication research and a vast digital marketing experience. Abigail is all about maximizing ROI. If you don't know what that means, it's return on investment, while getting positive messages out there in the most effective way. Abigail develops and implements the digital marketing strategy for the Ted Arison Family Foundation, Vision Ventures, including Good Deeds Day. Yep, that's us. And strongly believes in combining qualitative and quantitative methods to both understand and practice digital marketing, which for everyone who might be like me, not very good at this stuff, means she's going to make what seems very complicated to many of us seem very simple today. So whether you feel like this is something that you're really great at, or you feel like this is a world that you really just don't understand, but know that you need to be involved in and doing work on, this is a conversation for you. So I hope that you're here. We invited people to come with their staff, so I hope that you did. And I can see that we already have people on the line from Atlanta and Rwanda and the Philippines. Thank you for being with us. I'm reminding you that as we go through this presentation, we encourage you to write your questions. So as Abigail is presenting, as we're talking, if you have questions that come up, feel free to write them in the chat. We will do our best throughout the presentation to respond to those questions. As you know, we can't always get around to them, but we will do our best. So let's get started. So we can't avoid it. This pandemic is just the part of our lives that's not going anywhere. So I think my first question to you is really, how has COVID-19 affected digital marketing?
So first of all, before I answer this question, I want to say thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for the kind introduction. You're kind, I'll have to live up to it now. So.
I'm not worried.
So I think that COVID really gave digital marketing a boost. Digital marketing has been around for quite some time now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job. But, some organizations relied on it more and some relied on it less, but it really shook things for many marketing directors and shifted them towards digital marketing, which is amazing, I think, because it's a great opportunity for everyone. And, the world has gone digital. What can I say? Look at us having this conversation over Zoom, and, people are investing so much time into social media and even online shopping. So yeah, I think digital marketing is the way to go. And that's why we're here today.
That is why we're here today. And since the majority of people listening to us today are related in one way or another to nonprofits, can you share with us a little bit about how, about the challenges, I would say, that nonprofits are dealing with today when it comes to digital marketing?
That's a really good question. I feel like many of the times, some of the challenges are perceived challenges, which is good news because we will overcome them together, hopefully by the end of this live session, and start practicing and, learning more about digital marketing. But, for some, this is a completely new medium to use. and new mediums require adjustments, like learning new tools or, acquiring a new set of skills. But the good news is that, there's so many companies today giving out free online courses for beginners in digital marketing, so that, each and every one of you can gradually ease yourself into digital marketing. And this is a good time to say that Layla, our amazing coordinator, which is here with us. Thank you so much, Layla. She will be sharing at the end of this presentation, at the end of the live session, a list of links with free online courses. None of them are sponsored, of course. These are just a few of my recommendations, that can help you get started. And, the great thing about these courses is, first of all, that they're divided into segments, short videos, so that you can ease your way into it. And some of them even have a few questions at the end, just to make sure that, you're up to speed. And, Udemy are giving out these courses, LinkedIn, even Google are giving out a course with a certification at the end, and all of them are free. So that's great. Another challenge that I hear a lot has to do with budgets. Many nonprofits don't have that big of a budget, which is fine. And, some people are worried that they won't be able to, make a big impact with a small budget. So we will address that as well today. And no worries whatsoever. You will all be able to, start practicing digital marketing, whether you have a big budget, a small budget, or no budget whatsoever. And, overall, Tov, I think my goal today is, to share as many tips and resources and free tools. We're going to be sharing a list of free tools, so that each and every one of our viewers, by the end of this live session, will be able, to further their understanding and start practicing, hopefully, digital marketing. Let me know.
Exactly. Let us know. In the meantime, we've got people from Malawi and Nepal and Togo and Wisconsin, which I will share with people. I have a very special connection to. I went to camp in Wisconsin for about 20 something summers. So I love Wisconsin. So I hope you guys heard this, because our goal and Abigail's goal and what she has worked on is, first of all, giving you free tools to learn what you need to learn, right? We know that we are all stressed for budgets right now. But just to try to find money to take courses is a hard thing to do. So we're lucky that one of the things that has happened in this pandemic is even more we have access to courses that maybe in the past we would have to pay for. And really our goal is that you finish this conversation and you go practice, right? You go do it, right? We don't want this to be another conversation where you just listened and was like, oh, that was really nice, but it's not really something that I can do. You can definitely do it. So before I take you to the next question, we now have also Kenya and Ukraine and Brussels and Ivory Coast and Zimbabwe on the line. Hi, everybody. This is fun. Yay. Got lots
Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited.
Super exciting. So let me ask you then, we talked about the challenges, right? What are the advantages of digital marketing for nonprofits?
Yeah, so, digital marketing, not many people know it, especially, coming into this field, but digital marketing costs way less than any other, marketing channel. So that's really nice to know. And especially for you people that don't have that high of a budget. So it's really affordable and there's a lot that you can do. Also, it's very easy to measure your impact, and nonprofits are all about the impact, because that is what we're trying to do at the end of the day, make an impact on society. So everything is measurable. Also, it's a great way to reach new audiences. Digital media in general has no boundaries, has no limitations. Here we are with our friends from all over the world during this live session. And also, I feel like, nowadays when everyone is social distancing, it's a good way to stay in touch, with your volunteers or contacts, and make sure you don't lose touch.
Yep, absolutely. So what would be the best ways for nonprofits to start exploring digital marketing? What should they do? Where do we start?
Just start. We're going to be sharing links of online courses, just choose one, pace yourself. Take baby steps. Everyone thinks that digital marketing is such a scary and big field. It's not. It's super interesting. It's super easy to ease into, and baby steps. You can even decide that you're taking one course segment a day or one course segment a week. Don't overwhelm yourself with a lot of information. You'll learn how to do that today, hopefully by the end of the session. And another tip from me to you is always work with a strategy. Tova, they say that, working without a strategy is like trying to navigate in the dark when you don't have a map. Although in my case, it's without Waze because I'm completely hopeless without Waze. So that is also something that we will be doing today, showing you how to create your beginner's digital marketing strategy. And in 10 steps, which hopefully you will complete.
Amazing. So we're going to say hi to Tanzania, Nigeria, and South Africa as I ask you, what are the steps? Let's get going. Let's talk
So
practical.
let's get going. Let's be practical. I will share my presentation to make it easier for you guys to follow.
Amazing.
Okay, this might take a second or so. Let me know when you start seeing the presentation on the screen.
Yep.
Is it there?
Good. Yep.
Amazing. So, digital marketing strategy in 10 steps. Are you ready?
I am ready. I hope everybody else is. Feel free to say, yes, I'm ready in the chat if you are ready.
Okay.
Go for it.
So since this is a session for beginners, I just want to start by, covering a few basic types of digital marketing categories. Some of you may have heard of these categories before, and, I'm sure that you can come up with a few more that you might have heard of. But these are a few basics that will also help you later on, understand the courses that you want to choose, moving on. So we will hear, throughout this presentation, a few fancy terms, as I call them. But what I'm going to do together with you is, break these terms down and simplify them so that we're all on the same page and, we all understand what we're talking about. So let's jump right in. Starting with social media marketing. Tov, I find that many people are extremely interested in social media marketing. Most of the questions that I get have to do with social media marketing. And it makes sense because look at the amount of time we're active on social media. So this is marketing through posts and stories and videos and ads on the different social media platforms that, we love, such as Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, even TikTok, by the way, for some regions. Moving on to search engine optimization, SEO for short. You might have heard these terms before. And this means increasing your website visibility in the search engine results, such as Google or Bing, organically, which means without using a budget. Okay, we do that by using specific keywords that our users might be looking for, in the search engines, and by enabling different features on our website. Moving on to search engine marketing, which is SEM as opposed to SEO. And that means also increasing your website visibility, but through paid advertising. Tova, how sometimes you Google some sort of topic and then at the top of the screen, you see a few ads that appear in the results. That is search engine marketing. Now, Neil Patel, some of you may have heard about him. He's amazing. One of the pioneers in the content marketing world. I'll get to content marketing in a second. So he put together a list of free tools and plugins for SEO and SEM. And we will be sharing the link in the comments right now so that you can all save the link for yourself. Okay, moving on to display advertising. Most of you know display advertising because those are the banners, we see on different websites and applications. And content marketing, I mentioned Neil Patel, which is one of the first content marketers. So content marketing is creating and promoting valuable content. It's all about the value that we give our users, such as blog posts or, podcasts are huge right now, infographics. And the goal is at the end of the day to attract audiences through giving them that valuable content. Last but not least, email marketing, which most of you already practice. And this is marketing through a mailing list, your weekly or monthly newsletters that you send out. That is the email marketing. So now that we've covered all of that, I think we can move on. Safe to move on to step number one.
Thank you. That was really clear for me, just in terms of defining what the different things are, which sometimes just feel confusing and altogether. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to step number one, which is defining the mission and the objectives. Now, this step, as you see, has two components that I'm going to break down together with you. So the mission is more of a general statement, okay? That's your vision. And the objectives are specific actions that you take to achieve this bigger mission. And I'll give an example. But first of all, you need to make sure that first of all, you have a clear understanding of what you're trying to achieve through digital marketing. Okay, otherwise you'll just be, as we said, navigating in the dark without a map. And I'll give an example. A mission could be establishing an online presence, okay, and being the #1 leader in your field, or in your community, or in your country, or maybe even internationally, like a Deeds Day. And the objectives could be achieving that through, increasing awareness online and reaching new audiences, boosting online registrations. Okay. Now, the second thing you need to make sure is that your digital marketing strategy is aligned with your overall organization's mission. Okay, and I'll give an example. If your organization is local, okay, and it works locally with a small community or even a big community, but it's local. So you'll want to establish yourself as the #1 leader in your community before you think about scaling, right? So these are things to really think about and take into account. Of course, you can have completely different missions and objectives. These are only examples for the sake of the presentation. Okay?
Yep.
Moving on to step number 2, which is setting goals through KPIs. Here's another fancy term that we'll break down together. So KPIs. In digital marketing, we use this term, and it stands for key performance indicators, okay? And these are essentially signals that help us measure how effective we are in reaching our goals. Now, the best way, in my opinion, of course, and easiest way to set these KPIs is by using the SMART model. Now, I'm sure that some of you already heard about the SMART model. It's very popular in more than one field. And I want to use it today for setting our KPIs as well. So as you can see, each signal, each KPI that we set needs to have all of the SMART components. Okay, each letter represents a different component. The S stands for specific, the M for measurable, the A for attainable, the R for relevant, and the T for timely. Okay, let's jump right in. Starting with specific. Okay, so in other words, we're asking here, what exactly are we trying to achieve? Okay, being specific is really crucial because we want to be able to measure later on how well we did, right? Our performance. I'll give you a few examples just to make it a little more clear. A few examples for specific measurements. So for instance, we could be trying to measure website traffic. Okay, that means how many people entered our website, or how many viewed the different pages on our website. Another measurement could be lead forms. Okay, how many people gave us their details online, or donations, how much money did they donate, etc., etc. Now, KPIs can be vague. Otherwise, it will be very hard to measure, of course. So the more specific you are, the better. And that leads us to M, which is measurable. I said they need to be measurable, and I can't stress it enough. So we really need to set a number that we can measure, and I'll give an example. If we're trying to measure website traffic, so we can use 100 new website visits as a measurement, just for an example. If we're trying to measure lead forms, so 15 signups. Now, these are just random numbers, 100 website visits, 15 signups. How did I come up with these numbers? Okay. And that's a very good question that leads us to A, which is attainable. So we don't just, randomize and come up with numbers. We need our KPIs to be attainable. Although I specifically believe that, goals should empower you, and push you to be better, goals need to be achievable, right? Attainable. So we need to make sure that we're being realistic about what we can achieve. Otherwise, we're setting ourselves for failure, and we'll just get disappointed. So the best way to make sure that your KPIs are attainable is by using industry benchmarks. Now, as you know, Tova, we work with industry benchmarks, for Kadize all the time because
All
it's
the
really
time.
easy to ask the measurements. So industry benchmarks are percentages usually, and they help you understand the average performance in each category and in each field. And I'll give you an example. According to MailChimp, which some of you might know because it's one of the biggest email marketing services out there. So according to them, the average newsletter open rate for nonprofits specifically is 25%. Okay, this means, in other words, that on average, 25% of your mailing list will be opening the emails that you send. Okay, so if you decide to set a KPI of a 90% open rate, that's not being realistic, right? An 80% open rate, that's not being realistic. So of course, you always need to aspire, to be the best you can and, get higher percentages than the benchmark, but you really need to, gradually get yourself there. Otherwise, you'll just get discouraged. So in other words, this means that if I have a mailing list, of 100 people, 25 of them will, on average, be opening. So that would be a good benchmark to start with. Now, Layla will be sharing a link to MailChimp's benchmarks in the comments. And another great resource for digital marketing benchmarks is WordStream, which is a marketing software company. And they update their benchmarks yearly. They have social media benchmarks and, search engine marketing benchmarks. So both links will be shared below. Moving on to relevant. Okay, so we need to make sure that, first of all, our KPIs are aligned with our mission and objectives. It goes without saying. And the second thing we need to make sure is that our KPIs are both valid and reliable. Okay, because we want to make sure that, first of all, we're measuring the right thing and that we're measuring the right way. And this is important. So I'll give another example. Okay, if we're trying to get users to visit our website, okay, the Good Deeds Day website, by clicking on our Facebook ads, we will want to measure the amount of clicks and the amount of page views that we get, right? Yes. So we shouldn't be measuring, the views on YouTube, for instance. So yeah, we really need to make sure that we're measuring the right thing. Last but not least is timely. We need to establish a clear timeline with both a start date and an end date, okay? If we're measuring, again, website traffic, we can say, for instance, 100 new website visitors per week for the next month, or 300 new website visitors by the end of the campaign. All of those are valid timeframes, okay? And last but not least, my tip to you is start small, because, sometimes people have a tendency to pile up those KPIs and then start with many. So don't just, choose for the beginning one KPI or two KPIs that are the highest on your priority list, and, gradually work your way up.
And I would say experiment and don't be overwhelmed, right? I know that it's possible that some of you who are listening right now are like, this is a lot of new information. So don't worry. That's why we're on Facebook Live. You can come back and revisit this and re-listen, or if you're just joining us right now. And if any of this sounds like a language you have never heard before, I was going to say Chinese, but we may have people here who understand Chinese, like a foreign language, that's okay. Come back, right? Re-listen to what Abigail just said and slowly go through this, because it really does make a lot of sense once we kind of eliminate the fear factor. For some reason around digital marketing, lots of people have a lot of fear. So just putting it out there.
So true, and thanks for that. Okay, moving on to step number 3, which is so much fun, and you'll understand why in a second. So step number 3 is identifying and segmenting your target audience. Okay, now this part is so important. It's essentially what we do through digital marketing, and I'll explain why. So, there's so many people active online, right? Look at us on Facebook, And, people are active on so many platforms. Now, our goal here is to, first of all, identify the people that would be the most interested in our organization. And second of all, target them, okay, so that they can see our posts and our ads and our website, okay? Now, sometimes, people ask me, especially people who are new to digital marketing, they ask me, why segment, why target? Why just not, target everyone? And that's a very good question, and it's like the intuitive thing to do, let's reach everyone. And my answer sometimes could be counterintuitive to some. So the reason is that we want to get ourselves noticed. People don't remember, everything they see online. Try to think, Tova, what was the last ad that you saw online? What was the last blog post? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I don't, because I feel like there's so many.
So many. And
Yeah.
sometimes even if we think we remember, it's not the last one that we saw, but the last one that registered. And that is what we're trying to achieve. We want our ads and our posts and our videos to register. So that is why we want to get ourselves in front of the right people. And advertisers are constantly competing for users' attention, and that is exactly what we want to achieve. So if we target the relevant people, we'll increase the chance of them noticing us and remembering what they read and what they saw. So especially if you have a smaller budget, don't try to overreach, focus on your audiences, because those will be the ones that it will be easier for you to convert later on to volunteers or, for signups, etc., etc. Okay. So we do this by creating target audience personas. Now, this part is so much fun. For most people, it's their favorite part. And you can even turn this into like a group activity that you can do together as a team. It's really fun. And I'll start by explaining what are personas. So personas are models, okay? They represent the ideal audience for us. And through the personas, we're actually segmenting the potential audiences into smaller groups, okay? Because then it will be easier for us to address them. Now, each persona will be like a detailed outlining of the types of people that we're trying to reach. And why do we do this? Because, it rhymes, so it must be true. Targeting is everything in the digital marketing. And that is what we're trying to achieve. Okay, it's all about the targeting. So through digital advertising, we have the ability to share different messages or even, variations of the same message to different audiences according to their profiles. Okay, how do we do this? We describe the groups of people that we're trying to reach, and we can describe them through, their demographic profile or characteristics or, interests and activities. And I'll give you a few examples. Okay. So of course you can come up on your own with so many more questions that are specific to your nonprofit because you know yourself best. But these are just a few examples, just to get us started. So we can ask questions about their demographic profiles, for instance, how old are they? Are they teens? Are they parents? Are they retired? We can ask, where are they from? If you're a local organization, this applies to you, but also if you're an international organization, this could apply to you as well. What languages do they speak? What is their, what are their job titles? If we're trying to reach human resources managers or corporate social responsibility managers, it matters to us. So more questions that we can ask have to do with characteristics. For instance, what do they care about? And this can help you later on think of new ideas to write about, for your posts or, for your ads. We can ask, what digital platforms do they use? This is really crucial because we want to be active on the digital platforms that our audiences are active on. Otherwise, they just won't see us and won't know what we're doing. Another very good question has to do with, common challenges. How many times have you heard, Tova, the phrase, oh my God, I'm so busy, I don't have enough time to volunteer?
Yes, so many.
So once we map these things out, we can later on address them, in our messaging and in our marketing efforts. Do they use a unique terminology? Corporate social responsibility managers have their own, professional terms that they use. And if we're trying to target them, we need to know that lingo, right? So as I said, the options are endless. You can come up with many new questions on your own. But in case you need a more structured tool, although all you need is a pen and paper, but if you need a more structured tool, we will be sharing a free persona builder that HubSpot are giving out so that you can do it online. And once we put together the different personas that are relevant to us, it will be, first of all, easier for us to define our targeting on the different social media and digital marketing platforms, and then personalize the messaging. And when people ask me about the personalization, I always give, the example of drinking coffee. Do you like drinking coffee, Tova?
Yes, I do.
We should go out and drink coffee once the pandemic is over.
We should.
So, it's the difference between going to, a chain coffee house, and going to the cashier and asking for a number 6 on the menu, your general number 6, your generic, number 6. And, going to your neighborhood cafe, seeing the owner. Hey, Tova, how are you doing? How's the family? Would you like your regular? There's a new blend that you might like. So that is exactly the difference. People matter and they want to feel like they matter. And, through digital marketing, we can really show them how much they matter to us by personalizing the messages.
Great.
Moving on. Step number 4 is a step that you, Tova, have a lot to say about. You're the expert on everything to do with turning competitors into partners. But I'll just begin by saying that, this is really crucial. Kainan Rabino, he is our VP of Vision Ventures at the Arison Foundation. He always makes a point of reminding us that we're stronger together, and that's so, so true and so important to remember. This is, of course, also part of Sherry Arison's vision, for a better world, understanding that we all are one, essentially. So the idea is that we can accomplish so much more by being united, and putting our minds and abilities and even resources together for the greater good. So finding organizations that are like-minded, and share similar views and values and goals could be beneficial, to both sides, especially if you have limited resources, but not only. So in my opinion, it's really important to learn from your competition and try to collaborate for the greater good. I feel like you, Tova, are the expert on that.
Well, I think that this is what we encourage our Good Deeds Day partners to do all over the world, right? Is not to work alone. And I think that sometimes in the nonprofit world, we look at other nonprofit organizations as you were saying, as our competitors, right? Whether competitors for funding or competitors for people that we serve. And the real truth and reality is that if we work together, right, there's more than enough room. I had a business coach that I once worked with who said, there's more than enough room in this world for everyone. We could all do the same thing and there would be enough for everyone. And I think that's true also in the nonprofit world. And as you were saying, as Kainan says, we're stronger when we're together. And I think that, coming together and even, when you think about Good Deeds Day and what it does, right? When we come together around one idea and one title for one day, the impact that we have is tremendous, right? And then the ripples benefit all of us. So it's, it's completely true, I think, in all worlds.
Yeah, definitely. So online, the way we turn our competitors into partners starts by mapping them out. Okay, understand the field. And Tova, there are many online tools that you can use, to conduct competitor research. But in case, our friends don't have the means to pay for those tools, Google is giving out, a few free tools that you can use. And Layla, thank you so much, Layla, will be sharing the link below so that you can save. Now, after we map out our competitors, then we should start learning from them. Okay, what are the channels that they're using? What content are they creating? This could really help us, first of all, identify channels that we haven't thought about, and also understand what type of content appeals to them. Also going into different Facebook groups and forums and really researching and looking at what they're writing about and what interests them could be very, very beneficial. Now, the goal is not to copy, of course, it's just to learn from their practices, learn what works for them, what mistakes are they making, and apply that to your own strategy. And the next step would be trying to collaborate, but being strategic about it. Ask yourself, who could we collaborate? And, many people focus on what they will gain from that collaboration, but I offer looking at it, in the opposite way. Ask yourself, what can you offer in this collaboration? And then ask yourself, how can they help you in return? And then just start reaching out, and, it works like magic.
As we were saying, what's true in one part of our area of our life is always true in another. And I think this is a great example of that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, moving on to step number 5, which is choosing platforms and channels. So I always say you don't have to be active everywhere, okay? It's better to have a strong presence in a few channels than have a weak presence in many channels. So you need to choose the channels that work best for you and your audience. These are a few bullet points that can help you really choose the channels that would work best. So you can choose according to your objectives and goals, of course, it goes without saying. For instance, if you're trying to engage with your audiences, so social media would be the way to go. That is what we do on social media. We're social. We can choose according to your own capabilities, your budget, the time you have to spend, the knowledge you have. Some platforms are more expensive than others. And once you get into digital marketing, you'll know which ones those are and really, understand what your abilities are with your budget. We can choose according to your audiences, which is very, very important because, as I said, we want to be active where they are active. And we can choose according to features, on the different platforms. For instance, Facebook Live is a feature, and look at us active on Facebook. And once you're more advanced, you'll be able to choose according to the different phases of the user's journey, and the different marketing funnels, but that is way more advanced, and pace yourself, but only, know that that is an option for the future. Okay, moving on to step number 6, which is creating a content calendar. We use a content calendar all the time in all of our vision ventures. It's really, really helpful. And that will help you, put together your posting schedule for each platform and really map out your content. It also helps you to come up with the new themes for content and stay focused. And also plan ahead. You have your weekly posts, you have posts for special occasions. So that is what the content calendar does for you. HubSpot have a great template that we also use, which is an Excel spreadsheet that you can download. Layla will share the link in the comments. Layla is so helpful today. Thank you so much.
We're making her work hard.
Too hard. We need to make it up to her later on.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah. And, I also know that many of our friends all over the world use Canva for designing their posts. For those of you who don't know Canva, that is a graphic design platform for people who are not graphic designers, but still want their posts to look good on social media and on their blogs. And many use Canva because it has so many free features. But the good news is that Canva also have a nonprofit program. And if your nonprofit qualifies, you can get free access to the pro features as well. So we will be sharing a link to that as well so that you can see if your nonprofit qualifies for the program. And if so, yay, you'll have many more amazing features open.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing on the content calendar. Don't underestimate the power of the content calendar. I'll say that when I started working with Good Deeds Day for a very short time, I'm happy to say, because I have many strengths, but this is not one of them. I can do it, but it's not my strength. I was helping manage Good Deeds Day social media, and it was amazing to me using the calendar how much easier it made everything, right? Both in terms of planning in advance, being able, many of the platforms you can upload in advance. So it doesn't mean that you have to go on every day, because I can hear in my mind many of you saying, well, I don't have time to go on social media every day. You don't need to. You can set up several days in advance the content that you want to upload. And you can do that when you have a calendar. So when you've thought it out and you know what's coming up. So if I know that the end of this week in the United States is a holiday called Thanksgiving, right? I can already plan for a post about Thanksgiving on Thursday, and I can do it on Sunday, or I can do it last week. I don't have to do it on the day itself. So don't underestimate the power of that calendar. I highly
Yeah,
recommend it.
exactly right. And another thing that we're trying to avoid through using the calendar is, getting to the last minute and saying to ourselves, oh my God, it's Wednesday, I need to create a post, and like not knowing what to write about or what to post or where to post. So those things we can do through the content calendar. So everything is way more structured. Of course, you can always, be a little whimsy and decide that you want to, post any other day of the week. But if you have the content calendar, it really gives you structure. So that is the main point here. Moving on to step number 7, we're really close to the end, which is promote. Now, for this part, I want to focus on those of you who don't have a marketing budget whatsoever, because if you do, this part is really straightforward. So if you don't have a marketing budget, or you have a very small marketing budget, there are a few things that you can do. First of all, the SEO, which I said stands for search engine optimization. Okay, increasing the website visibility in the search engine results, through features on your website or keywords. So that is the first thing that you can do. Also really try to look at potential collaborations, just like you said, Tova. Content exchange with bigger websites, they gain content that you create and you gain more exposure that way. The same with, different Facebook pages or Facebook groups, try collaborating with different admins on groups. Of course, always post with consent, never just, bombard a Facebook group. We need to be respectful. But yeah, so those are ways to gain organic exposure, even if you don't have a marketing budget. Another good idea is to use Quora. Are you familiar with Quora, the website?
I am, but why don't you share with people?
Great. So this is a website where you answer questions. So a great idea would be, going on the website, looking up questions that are relevant to your nonprofit. If you have a dog rescue shelter, you can look for relevant questions and start answering them as the nonprofit. And in that way, you can gain more exposure and also appear higher on search engine results. Another amazing program that I want to talk to you about is Google Grants for nonprofits. Some of you are already using Google Grants, some of you not, so I want to tell you about it. This is a pro bono account for Google Ads. Tova, Google are so generous. They give nonprofits that qualify $10,000 monthly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
To spend on Google Ads, which is amazing. And it includes, as I said, Google Ads, but also YouTube for nonprofits and a G Suite for your Gmail and many more features. So we will be sharing the link so that you can check if your nonprofit qualifies. Fingers crossed it does, because this program is amazing. It's a life changer for so many nonprofits that don't have a budget whatsoever or even have a smaller budget. And in case you have a small budget and you're a beginner, like most of our viewers right now, my suggestion is, first of all, to promote on less platforms, start small and gradually work your way up. And the second thing is, as I said, focus only on relevant audiences. Because although you can reach, very large audiences, at the end of the day, your goal is to convert them, to readers, to volunteers, even donors sometimes. So really focus on the right people.
Yeah, so I wanna make a connection there, which is gonna be a little off topic but on topic. So you'll forgive me, which has to do right with the partnerships and the connection and being visible in different ways. So I want to give an example. So for example, let's say that you have on Good Deeds Day, one of the organizations that's doing work with you is a bank. Right. And I'm thinking of a specific country, but I'm not going to mention them right now, who like we started doing some work and this bank wasn't necessarily interested, by the way. It wasn't ready at that point to give money to the Good Deeds Day event, but was willing to send out their employees to go volunteer. So great. So use that opportunity, make sure that you document and record it, right? And then you can share that out and tag the bank, right? And make the connection and let them know that you're doing it, or write an article and give them something ready, because they may not have the time to do it, to then use that article on their bank website on the great volunteering work that their employees have done, right? There are a lot of different ways to create connection. Think outside of the box. Don't just think of, wanting them to do it or assuming that they're going to make suggestions. Show them how, again, think about how can I help them, right? This helps them. It looks good for the bank that they are volunteering in the community, that they care about the community. It looks good. Most banks are related to bigger bank, I don't know what they're called, organizations. So excuse me, bank people, for saying whatever it is wrong, but they're bigger. And so it looks higher up, it looks better. And you never know where that might be shared, right? Further on, that will give you visibility and what that is going to bring. We never know what relationship and connection we're going to make today that's going to help us further on. So always think creatively and differently as you're doing it. And the one thing that you mentioned that I really want people to hear, and I say this as somebody who many of you now who've been following me know that I have my own small business on the side. There's nothing more annoying than when somebody bombards your site with content that either isn't relevant or isn't approved or isn't related and doesn't ask first. So make sure that you do everything in a kind, compassionate, considerate way as you would everything else. You win in a respectful way. You would not, go into somebody's conference and suddenly start waving signs, right? Think of it that way, right? You want to ask permission. If you do it the right way, people are often happy to share. So
Yeah,
just
I
wanted
love
to
that. It's all about being proactive, first of
yeah,
all. And second of all, remembering that everyone needs content. Like
yeah.
content is everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, exactly that. And just like you said, think out of the box. Think of opportunities and think, about what you can do for the other organizations. Think of their needs and put
Mhm.
them. I love
Exactly.
that. Okay, moving on
Moving
to
on.
step number 8, which is measure your KPIs and analyze your performance. Now, today, almost every digital marketing platform has more than one dashboard to help you measure your results. Some of the more popular ones that you may have heard of are Google Analytics or the Google Ads dashboard, Facebook Ads Manager, Facebook Page Insight. So there's so many ways that you can measure what you're doing and make sure that you're hitting those goals and hitting those KPIs. And once you're more advanced, you can also combine the information from the different dashboards to make knowledgeable decisions. So once we have all of this information, all of this data, then we learn to optimize. Many people think that, when they start a campaign or they have a brand new blog post coming out, they'll just, promote it and it's going to be amazing and everyone's going to love it and click and engage. And, hopefully that's the case, but sometimes it isn't, more times it isn't. And then you have to be resourceful and make tweaks to the content and tweaks to the ads. And that is what we do. That is what we call optimize. So, and try again, of course, don't get discouraged. Even if you tried initially and it didn't work out, try again, make tweaks. You can make tweaks to the copy. Okay, maybe, the way you wrote the ad or the way you wrote the blog post doesn't really apply to the people you're trying to reach. You can also make, adjustments to the targeting, tweak the targeting. Maybe you're not, reaching the exact right people. And these are things that you can do very easily through the different digital marketing platforms. And yeah, don't be afraid. Just continue to optimize and tweak the content until you reach success, which leads us to number 10, which is celebrate.
Woohoo.
So yeah, if you reach this far, you have all the steps you need to create your own digital marketing strategy. And I can't wait for you to start. Let us know how it goes. Let us know how you're doing. And yeah, I just have, the 10 steps mapped out here. And of course, Tova, we will be having this video on the Good Deeds Day page. So all of you can, come back and use it as a reference in the future. So, and we're not going anywhere, are we?
No,
more than
we are not.
done. We're continuing strong, so we will be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
See, first of all, again, as I was saying before, I want you, if this feels overwhelming or if this is something that is new to you, simply watch this presentation again and then again, and take notes and do one step at a time. Right? Do one step at a time. Don't try to do it all together. Do one step. If you get stuck, that's what the links are for, to the various, free resources. Go learn a little bit about it. Right? Come back, give yourself an opportunity and go step by step. By the way, I want to say hi to our friends from Nepal and India who joined our presentation while you were presenting.
Hello.
And we have a few questions that came up while we were presenting. You want to take a look and try to answer a couple of them?
Yeah. Okay, we have here a great question. How long does SEO take? That's a really good question. This is a question that I get quite often. So in general, as I said, digital marketing and SEO as well, which is part of digital marketing, is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So even if you make small baby steps, over time, you will see the results. Don't expect, even if you're doing, social media marketing or search engine marketing or search engine optimization, don't expect to get, immediate results. Nothing is instant, although we're used to having everything instant in the world that we live in, but it's not. It's a marathon. And, my best tip to you is start small. Choose an SEO course. Understand the different components. Understand what you can do on your website. How to research keywords that your audiences are looking for online. This may take time, but even, if it does, at the end of the day, it's really worth your while. So I highly advise it. Another question. Do Google Analytics and Google Ads dashboard analyze social media marketing? Okay, this is a good question. So yeah, through Google Analytics, you're able to filter and understand the different sources of traffic that you get on your website. Okay, you can filter by source and medium, or even by referral if you're getting traffic from another source like a different website. And all of these things you can measure through Google Analytics. Now, what we do is, have the dashboard, the Facebook dashboard or the Google Ads dashboard on the one hand, and looking at our performance over there. And then, completing that by checking Google Analytics and seeing if the traffic actually got to the website. So combining these different sources of information is really, really helpful. So yeah, you can. Any advice for applying to Google grants for nonprofit? Give it your best shot. Be a registered NGO to do so. By the way, thank you so much for all of the questions. I didn't say that before, but I really appreciate you taking an interest in asking. So you need to be a registered nonprofit. Google will want to see, documentation that proves that you're a nonprofit. And yeah, and also once you get the grant, you need to really, apply yourself and, use it and work towards it. Because, Google are giving out so much money to nonprofits and they want to make sure that you're making the most, out of the ads.
Which means don't apply if you don't feel that you can actually use it.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at our time. I mean, our time has gone by really quickly.
So
Um,
fast.
so fast, so fast. So what I'm gonna let you decide how you want us to end with what piece of information. Um,
You know what?
Yeah,
Think, many times people ask me about what they should avoid. The whole presentation I spoke
yeah,
about what you should do and what things you should be thinking about. So maybe we can talk about what you should avoid.
sure.
Um, so, I think the number one thing to avoid is violations. Now, I just want to say this is a common misconception. We all have good intentions. None of us is trying to, commit a crime or be in breach of some sort of contract. But, sometimes we don't really know, and don't really read the policy of each platform that we use. So I think that you should, take the time and really read the policy of each platform just to make sure that you know the rules and regulations. Each platform has a policy, so you should read that. And second of all, you should try to avoid copyright violations. Sometimes people want to have these amazing posts and they Google images online and they want to use these amazing images that they find on Google. But the fact of the matter is,
You're not allowed to.
they're not allowed to, exactly, because someone took that picture for you. You can't just decide that you put it on your page and start promoting it. So always make sure that the images and videos and even audios that you use are either royalty free, okay, that you have the right to use them, or try to purchase them through there are so many stock websites for images and video banks and all that good stuff. So make sure that you're allowed to use the different visuals on your website. And another important thing is avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is a scary word. It sounds very, big and intimidating. But actually, most people who, commit plagiarism aren't doing it, with bad intent or ill will. They just really like something. They read a blog that really inspires them, and they, take a few sentences from that blog. So that is an issue, in the digital media in general. So always give credit, when credit is due, and
Yep.
try to avoid copying. And yeah, I think that is it.
I think that is a great way to end. I will tell you, just so you guys know, I do have several friends who have used photos not innocently from Google and who were sued for it and had to pay money for it.
Yeah.
So just so you know, and credit, always give credit, right?
Oh,
You read something, you think it's great, let them know you think it's great. There's no reason why not.
and
Oh,
better safe
again,
than
yeah.
sorry. Better safe than sorry. Always
Uh-huh.
give.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you very much for this. This was a great master class and a great course for beginners, and I think for non-beginners also, for people who are really trying to perfect their work. So thank you for taking the time to prepare this for us and to present today.
Thank you so much.
Really, really appreciate it, and really appreciate all of you that took the time to share and be with us today live, or if you're going to come and watch this later, as I know many of you do. Um,
And let us
yeah,
know how it went. Let us know if you have your digital marketing strategy worked out. Let us know if you started promoting online. Let us know. We want to follow you. We want to see what you're doing, what you're up to.
100% to everything she just said, right? And just so you know, we see when you comment, by the way, on this video, even later, we see that it comes up and we take a look. So let us know how it went in any format that you want. Many of you have my email, so you can let me know too. Again, so thank you for being with us. I want to invite you to our next call, which is going to be January 20th. We're going to be speaking to Orrin Hudson from Be Someone in Atlanta, in the United States, and he's going to talk to us about getting visibility on TV and media, right? So how do
Wow.
you share what you're doing with the world? How do you, as someone said to me once about the work that I was doing or am doing still, he says, you're the best kept secret, right? And that's not helpful. It's not helpful if you're a secret. People need to know, who you are and what you're doing. And so how do we make that happen? So that's going to be a really interesting conversation. For more information of when, what, how, just make sure that you follow our Facebook page and our newsletter for Good Deeds Day. We share all that information. So thank you again. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you
Thank you,
so very
Layla,
much, Layla.
for all your help and posting all the links and making sure everybody has everything. I think we found out, by the way, some amazing stuff also of the content. And also, I didn't know about this Google grant. So there you go. We learn
Yep.
something new every day. So thank you again and goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.